The big battle, China versus Japan. Why is this happening? Big changes are coming to Japan's military strategy, and it's causing quite a stir. With Japan also shifting its foreign policy, it seems the world is on edge as these powerful nations make drastic decisions. Japan in particular is undergoing its largest military budget increase since World War II, and it's clear that they mean business. Gone are the days of purely defensive military. Japan wants to be able to fight back, and they're pouring billions of dollars into upgrading their arsenal. To put things in perspective, Japan is set to become the third biggest military spender in the world. That's not a title to be taken lightly. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is leading the charge, aiming to double Japan's military spending to 2% of its GDP by 2027. That's a whopping $73 billion, and it's clear that Kishida isn't messing around. So what's driving this change? It seems that Japan is feeling the heat from its neighbors with a rapid increase in the severity of the security environment around the country. Nuclear and missile capabilities are being strengthened, and attempts to change the status quo through power are becoming more pronounced. With these threats looming, it's no wonder that Japan is taking a more aggressive stance. But what does this mean for the rest of the world? It's hard to say for certain, but it's clear that tensions are high. Japan's growing military strength could be seen as a threat by some of its neighbors, and it remains to be seen how this will play out on the global stage. One thing's for sure though, with billions of dollars being poured into new ships, aircrafts, drones, and hypersonic missiles, Japan's military is set to become a force to be reckoned with. Tensions are high in Japan's region, and it's not looking good. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is pointing fingers at three countries, Russia, North Korea, and China, for the rapid deterioration of the area. And it's not hard to see why. Let's start with Russia. When they invaded their neighbor Ukraine, Japan understandably got a little worried. After all, they share a border with Russia too. And to add insult to injury, the southernmost Kuril Islands are still being disputed between the two countries. But despite this conflict, there hasn't been any fighting between Russia and Japan, and it's likely to stay that way. Russia's war with Ukraine has been going on for 10 months, and Putin's military isn't exactly living up to expectations. It would be foolish for Russia to start another war on their eastern border. But Russia isn't the only worry on Japan's mind. They're also keeping a close eye on North Korea, and for good reason. When you think of North Korea, you think of nuclear bombs, and that's not far from the truth. They've even launched a missile over Japan, sparking outrage in Tokyo. It's clear that North Korea is a force to be reckoned with, and Japan is taking notice. So what does this all mean? With countries from East Asia building up their militaries and alliances, it's clear that tensions are high in this region. And while Japan is keeping a close eye on their neighbors, they're also dealing with their own struggles. Japan's foreign policy is changing in a big way, and it's got a lot of people talking. From a massive military buildup to a sharp increase in spending, Japan is turning up the heat in response to a rapidly deteriorating security environment. And while there are many factors at play here, one country stands out as the greatest threat: China. Yes, that's right. The world's most populous nation is causing some serious concern for Japan, and for good reason. With a military budget that has grown at an alarming rate over the last 30 years, China is now 4 times as big as Japan's military, and tensions are running high. From escalating pension costs to missile launches over Japan's airspace, China is making it clear that they are a force to be reckoned with. But Japan isn't taking this lying down. Oh no, they're hitting back hard, with plans to develop a counter-strike capability and a massive increase in military spending. From hypersonic missiles to 6th-generation fighter jets, Japan is sparing no expense in their quest to stay safe. The tensions between Taiwan and China is reaching a boiling point, and it's putting Japan in a very dangerous situation. Military jets are flying toward Taiwanese airspace as China sees Taiwan as its own, while Taiwan is self-governing and ready to face any challenge that comes its way. It's a situation that's getting worse day by day, and Japan is feeling the heat too. As an ally of the United States, Japan may find itself dragged into a conflict it didn't want. The southwest islands of Japan, including the crucial Okinawa Island, are home to numerous U.S. military facilities, making them important in any possible war. And with China's eye on Taiwan, it knows it needs to prevent a U.S. counterattack from Japan. That's why Japan is preparing for the worst. It's investing billions of dollars in its military, including the biggest military buildup since World War II, to defend the Southwest Islands and strike China back if necessary. And with the unveiling of a new national security strategy, Japan is showing that it is ready for anything. But the situation is far from ideal. China's provocations are making everyone nervous, and the possibility of an all-out war in East Asia cannot be ruled out. Japan knows this, and it's doing everything it can to prevent it. But if push comes to shove, Japan will be ready. Because in times of crisis, it's better to be over-prepared than caught off guard. The industrial history of Japan and its economic growth during the 50s to the 80s, which led to its position as the world's second-largest economy. The text also highlights the similarities between China and Japan's industrialization, but notes that China has faced its own challenges. The current challenge Japan faces is China's growing military threat, which is forcing Japan to build a powerful military with counter-strike capabilities. Japan's shift toward building a strong military marks a significant change from its traditionally peaceful and non-aggressive stance. After the 1990s, Japan's economy stagnated, and the world watched as a new giant emerged: China. In fact, China's economic miracle is remarkably similar to Japan's. But as we know, Japan's economy eventually failed, and China's could be heading in the same direction. Japan's downfall began with the lost decade in 1991, when the asset price bubble collapsed. The real estate and stock market were priced insanely high due to quantitative easing. Japan's government was printing away too much money, resulting in an artificial bubble that eventually burst. And even after 30 years, the Japanese stock market still hasn't recovered. Japan's population collapse is another reason why its economy has never recovered. Since 1980, Japan's population increase has been slowing down, and during the last decade, its population has been declining. This has resulted in an aging population, with the highest median age in the world at 48.6 years. And with a population too old to work, Japan's economy could never recover from the lost decade. Now, China is facing the same issue, with its population aging faster than any other country in modern history. China's economy was powered on cheap labor and exports, just like Japan. But with an aging population, the country won't have the people to pull that off anymore. And with a housing bubble and a population collapse of its own, China's economy could be heading toward disaster. Moreover, competition is another similarity that can be drawn between the two countries. During Japan's economic miracle, Japan was the only developed economy in East Asia. But in the 1990s, Japan faced competition with South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Singapore, who had their own economic miracles. And now, China faces competition from countries like India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, and Vietnam, who also have low production costs. So what does this mean for the Japanese military budgets? When the Chinese economy slows down, we'll see a geopolitical shift in East Asia, and it could be the end of an era. The same shift happened in Japan when they lost their dominance in their industries, and their economy changed to a service-based one. And the same will happen to China too, as US manufacturing orders in China fell by 40%. We are already witnessing the move to the new Asian tigers, and it's inevitable that the Chinese economy will slow down, just like the Japanese economy did. That's it for today. We hope you found this discussion on the economic parallels between Japan and China informative and thought-provoking. While both countries went through a period of rapid economic growth, Japan's eventual downfall serves as a cautionary tale for China. The challenges facing China today are complex, but with the right policies and strategies, the country can hopefully avoid the same fate as Japan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. Thanks for watching.